career is not an accident.
Better than us, depending on where you're from and what you've been through.
What's up? This is Troy Carter, and you're watching The God Show.
I'm a facilitator of dreams. I am not here to take you to your dream.
Dim joints and focus. Focus and dim joints. What?
Yo, this is Big U. I just finished The God Show.
What up? This Red Push, man. You're not tuned in with The God Show. Just
Poking the bell.
Oh, that is
That's my favorite term. He's the master investor. Ian Dunlap, let's go.
the roller coaster go up and it come down. A lot of them ain't prepared for it to go down.
What y'all need to do, is tune into The God Show tonight.
What show?
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Ray Daniels, and we have Tamir right here. we up in here, and this is The God Show, and we have some very special guests. She usually does it. She's trying to control me. We have some very special guests. We're going to call this show the Venice Edition. We have someone who I admired since the day I met him and we was recording Dancing Shoes with Valeria back in the Interscope studios. Wow. And I'm listening to this dude talk, and I'm like, and then this is right after the time where I heard him and Jay Irvin sold their company. So, you know, this is when Demet Gitry and those guys are running around. So I got a little history, man. I'm a student, man. I pay attention. But we have, he also is one of the leaders of the Philadelphia Mafia. If you come to LA, it's some Philadelphia guys that run this city. Him, Will Smith, heavy, Ryan Press, Jay Irvin. These guys run this city, and they all from Philly, and you're lucky if you get at their table. And we have my brother, Red Push. One other thing I have to say is I appreciate Troy for hiring someone in Atlanta. That says that he understands the importance of our city and our culture.
Facts.
Most people want to hire people in the city that they are so they can watch them, but Troy he hired a winner. We have our brother Red Push. So everybody give it up for Troy Carter and Red Push of Venice. It's so weird to say you're from Venice, bro, because you did so many things, by the way. So it's so weird to say that. But yeah, we have Troy here. So thank you for having us at your house.
Oh, of course.
He has the greatest backyard in history, by the way, and we're in the biggest wine cellar in history. Right. So, you know, I just gotta shout him out for everything you do, man. Thank y'all for being here.
No,
thank y'all.
Of course, man.
So Tamira usually does all of this, but you know, let's make it work.
I'm sending you home with one. I'm sending you home with one.
I want to start from the beginning. So we had a little conversation, but you didn't go to the traditional route. You kind of dropped out of school and you still pursued your career. So tell me about your thought process when deciding to say, you know what, forget school, I'm going to pursue this. Like, let us know why you decided to do that and what was your motivation behind it.
Yeah, I would say, you know, in terms of school, it wasn't designed for the way that I'm wired, like, you know, in the way that I learn. So, like, I would cut school, and sometimes I would go to the library. And I always loved books. And so I was an avid reader as a kid, but the school environment and just the structure of classrooms wasn't really designed for the way that I learned. And I think, you know, later in life I found out, you know, it was ADHD, and we didn't have diagnosis back then. Yeah. It was just, you know, my son, your son's not paying attention. But I couldn't sit in one place. Yeah. I always wanted to socialize and talk. And if it wasn't something that I was absolutely interested in, I couldn't lean into it. So in 11th grade, I ended up dropping out, and my mom, like 6 months later, she put me on a bus and sent me off to Baltimore, right outside of Baltimore, to Chesapeake Job Corps Center. And so she said, if you want to do this music thing, you got to come home with a piece of paper. So I ended up getting a GED and then started working from there.
So hold on, you knew you wanted to do music at 16?
Yeah, so I fell in love with hip hop probably like 14, just listening to Power 99, making tapes and things like that, and just love music, love the culture. And honestly, it was the first thing that I felt like I had that I really understood from its core.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I chased that. So we started like a little rap group when we were in 9th grade. I ended up, we said, if we meet Will Smith, he's gonna give us a record deal. So we used to go to his studio and hang out at Jazzy Jeff's studio waiting for them to come out. And literally one day we met them, and that was the sort of first idea around how thoughts become things.
Yeah.
Like if you put your mind to something, that it actually could come into fruition.
Yes.
Because I was too young and naive to think that something couldn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so so with that actually happening and meeting that guy, him and his partner JL, they took me under their wing and kind of pulled me into the business.
That was basically God touching you, because there's no better people that can take you under their wing. I mean, like, I'm just being honest, like, especially after listening to Will Smith book, like,
Will used to make us when I say rough around the edges, we were like rough around the edges. And Will's basically like, y'all got to increase y'all vocabulary. So every day he would give us a new word to learn.
yes.
So it would be like recapitulate. Like, what is that? Like, so literally you would have to look in the dictionary, understand it, and every day you would have to come back. He would give you a word, you would have to come back with a new word. But it just was that thing around, we came from, all three of us were from West Philly.
Yeah.
And he saw like the potential in us as human beings and wanted us to stretch ourselves, because most people who come from our neighborhood, you stay in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you grew up in Philly, there's a lot of people who grew up in Philly that's never been to New York.
Yes.
Never been to Atlantic City.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's
it's
real.
like, so for him, he was pushing us to think way, way, way outside of our neighborhood. And it was great to get it that early in my life. So it's like, those seeds could grow.
Yeah.
And even when I sort of went off the path, it was sort of that true north that always sort of brought me back to center.
Man, I love that, man. I love being from Atlanta, by the way, but if I could be from another place, I wish I grew up with y'all in Philly. Because y'all are different, bro. Bro, I watch y'all hold each other down. No, Tamira, you understand. So Tamira's from Harlem. Obviously, I say I'm from Atlanta, but I grew up in the Bronx. And living in the Bronx, I probably went to Brooklyn one time in my 12 years living in the Bronx. You don't leave your borough. So moving to Atlanta was the first time that I actually saw people that looked like me. I didn't even know it was possible. So like, that's why I'm thankful that someone made that I had the opportunity to see outside of it. So when I hear you talking about it, and mind you, I'm like, I just found out Troy dropped out of high school. I'm like, what the fuck? I just knew you was a Harvard grad the way you was educating people and everything. And I gotta stop because the thing about this show is that I'm people's peers. I want to tell y'all something. Troy Carter is the first person that let me see I didn't know what I was doing as a manager. No, that's dead serious. I watched Troy Carter and Vincent Herbert. You gotta understand something. I didn't want to be in the music business. I'm just a manager. I'm managing two guys from the Virgin Islands who so happen to be signed to Akon's label, who Gaga was signed to also. And, I'm just holding my guys down. But I remember watching you and Vincent every day it was y'all two run from office to office to office to office. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen two people work a building like I saw y'all work. So when Lady Gaga became a superstar and everybody was celebrating her, from my perspective, I'm like, I watched you guys do it.
But what was interesting, it's sort of about, you can watch, and a lot of people watch a lot, but a lot of people don't make adjustments, right?
Yes.
So I remember I was managing Eve, and Eve was like my first client. And so she did this record with Gwen Stefani from No Doubt called Let Me Blow Your Mind.
Let Me Blow Your Mind, yep.
So record explodes, and we end up going on promo tour with Gwen.
Yeah. So
mind you, back then, I'm like, go talk about rough around the edges stuff. So I got, my Rough Riders jacket on, like super baggy jeans. you know, like Tim's on everything else or whatever. And Gwen's team shows up on the road, and her security has suits on. Her manager has a jacket. And I'm like, and I'm seeing how they're moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, we gotta get this together.
It made you look at yourself.
Yes. Because what ends up happening is Eve is seeing how Gwen's team moves.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I got to make sure our team moves, you know.
Yeah, because she might see that and be like, I need to be with them. Why we don't? Exactly.
So Gwen's manager, Jim Garneau, he was kind enough to let me learn from him. I built a great relationship. You know, we went out, we took Eve out with Destiny's Child, and me and Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father and former manager, we built a great relationship. And seeing how Destiny's Child moved, I'm like, yo, we gotta get it right. You know, because that is a machine now.
Yeah, it's militant.
Yes.
And
Beyonce was the general, by the way.
Yeah.
She was the general of that machine as a kid.
She was the seed. So she was in the house with her father every day.
Every day.
Yes.
It's like, so being able to get those learnings from people like James Lassiter, from Jim Garneau, from Matthew Knowles, from Benny Medina. You know, Benny told me, we were on the set of Men in Black video, and we were riding home one night, and it's Will's brother Harry driving the car. Benny's in the front seat, I'm in the back seat, and I kept talking, and Benny said, "Will you just shut the fuck up and listen?"
I love it.
It was some of the best advice I ever got, though.
I'm looking at my team in the room.
I didn't get it.
Yes.
I didn't get it. Like, you could easily take that and, like, you know, fuck this. You know, like,
who the fuck you talking to?
You could take that.
You could bring Philly out. You could have got real Philly on him.
Or you could take that as an observation from Benny Medina, one of the greatest executives of all time.
The real Fresh Prince of Beverly Hills who changed it. Yes.
And Benny and I are still cool to this very day. But it was being able to take that in and not internalize it and kind of, you know, use it as fuel. Yeah.
I always say, when you have an opportunity like this, you have to honor it. You have to show up as a new person every day and be willing to be molded into it. Right. Because if you were who you were when you were 16 in West Philly, you would have became everything you wanted to. You had to become someone else to get in other rooms to attract. I was just arguing. So I'm gonna tell you something. I have a lot of people around me. I have a team, and I was just telling somebody on my team, I was like, I knew who I needed to become to attract what I wanted. Yep. And so when people, like, everybody's excited about what we're doing, I'm like, I wrote the character down. And I said, this is who he's gonna be. And if I be this person, if I knew who this person exists, I would want to be around that person. So I became the person that I knew would attract opportunities, like sitting here interviewing you. Because even though I've known you for however many years, it's still an honor. It still had to look like something you wanted to talk about, because it's like you're combining your brand for however long we do this with mine. You ain't gonna sit down with, what's the guy named, the crazy guy that said Columbine didn't happen, Alex Jones. You're not gonna sit in the room with this, like, even if he can give you a platform.
And I ain't bringing him to my house.
Exactly. So for me, you have to establish that. So I just love that you said that, because there's so many people who are watching, who are like DMing me. I know DMing you, Red, and like, man, I just got the talent, and it's like, bro, you have to change your mentality to attract.
The energy thing is so real, and like, people like attracts like.
Yes,
is a scientific fact, by the way.
Fact.
Like attracts like, and the energy you give off attracts a certain level of energy.
Yes.
And so over the years, I learned that, and it's the hardest thing for me, man, was like coming from Philly. There's a lot of people who I grew up with, right? And everybody didn't go the same paths. Yeah. Everybody didn't do the inner work, the therapy, the spiritual work, like all of the work that it does to sort of help transform your life.
Yes.
And it's constant work. You can't just do it one time and
Every
expect
day.
it to change. So shaking, having to like one of my old heads in Philly told me, because I used to do shows there, and like I was growing in Philly, and I felt like I was the guy in Philly.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to move to LA or New York or anything. And this guy told me, old head, he said, you got to let go to grow. And he said, the people that you're around, they're not going to elevate you. He was like, they're not going to elevate you. He said, you're better off just being by yourself than who you're around.
Yes.
So no exaggeration, man. This is the first time I moved to LA. I ended up, I was looking for, and this is how God works, man. I had like $3,000, something like that, like $3,500. And I started making phone calls to see if somebody could help me find an apartment or something like that. And my friend who was a writer for Vibe, Nikki Duncan, who I went to high school with, she was writing for Vibe, and she was moving back to the East Coast, and she needed somebody to take over her apartment. And so I had just enough money to move to LA, pay the rent for the apartment. I didn't have it was like no furniture or anything. I was like the only black guy in Koreatown, by the way. I had no car, nothing. Yeah. And I was literally taking the bus in LA.
I'm about to say, this is way before Uber and anything.
And then nobody really catches the bus in LA.
Exactly. I don't even know how it works.
No, exactly. So I'm literally catching a bus in LA, and I'm out here by myself. Will and those guys, they were shooting movies, they were on set and stuff. So I'm literally in the apartment by myself, but I'm reading Deepak Chopra books. Yes. I'm reading 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, any book that I could get my hands on. Yeah. But I'm by myself. Yes. Working on myself, in this cave. And I slowly started seeing little things shift in my life. People got mad at me because I had to, sort of move on. But it's like the things that it started to attract made me really start believing in it. And
once you believe it, you can't go back. You can't. Once you once you go down that dark road and everybody's like, you tripping, what are you doing? And you like, no, I believe that something can happen for me. And then you get to that life. Nobody can change you. Only people that can change you is people like you. Yep. Everybody else, even now, I have cousins and you don't act like us. I'm like, because I went on a journey that y'all never could understand, bro. And I'm from the hood, and I still got hood people around me every day. I still take care of hood family members right now that live in my houses right now. But I'm like, I can't, it's funny. I have a thing, my mother calls me, and she says, I'm hungry. Don't ever tell me that, Ma. You're not hungry. You know what I'm trying to say? Or my mother be like, I need money. Ma, you don't need money. Yo, son, I got you. So you don't have to give me that story. Just tell me, but it's like some people just don't want it. And I tell everybody in my life, I'm like, every morning we all get up and we look greatness in the eye. And we either decide to look the other way or we decide to face it. And if you face it enough, you become greater. I tell it to everybody in my team, I'm like, fuck chasing money. Build value. You are looking greatness in the eye. Right. And you're facing it. And if you really, and I know it's hard because you ain't never did it. But you had your lights, beacons of lights, which was Will and JL, that you can even see and be like, I know it's real because I'm looking at it. And I'm telling my people, I'm like, look at us, look at me. It's real, but you gotta honor the process.
Completely cutting everybody off and saying, you know what, I'm focused on myself, to bringing somebody all the way from Atlanta in and saying, you know what, we're gonna do this together.
No, this is early on. This is before he became Troy. That's why I said it was frustrated talking about not frustrated, but it was a little difficult saying Troy caught her from Venice. I'm like, Troy is an investor in Uber. He is Spotify. I'm like, Troy is the person that I called the day I quit Interscope. I called him and I was like, because Interscope was using me. No disrespect, this is a different regime, but I basically was there getting a check, and it was like I wasn't doing anything, but they was like, great job, and I'm like, dog. I worked on the LA Read. I give him a hit on Monday, Friday. He like, where my other fucking hit? You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to every day in the pressure cooker, and I'm working with these people. It's like, hi, Ray, oh, you're in town? I'm like, yeah, I'm in town. I'm trying to fucking win. And then I was like, man, I'm going to be that black guy that collects a check. And all the black people going to lose respect because they know I can't do nothing. So I quit, and I hit you. And you told me, you said, Ray, congratulations. Mind you, I'm thinking you're going to say, what the hell are you doing? What? He was like, congratulations. And you told me, you said, go by The Alchemist and sit down and read it before you take any step. And then he cut me a check, by the way. He cut me a check from my group. You understand, bro? And for you, that was probably just 5 minutes in the office. But, bro, you a hero out here. And I know I do the same for people. And I know we all do it. But sometimes it's good for someone to just tell you in that moment, man, that shit meant a lot. That shit gave me confidence to do this.
Now, you know what? It's like when a few things that that I learned throughout my own life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, to your point earlier, like, you know, you thought I went to like I thought you went to Harvard.
I wouldn't have been shocked if you said you went to Harvard.
And so for me, it's like I grew up super loved.
Yes.
You know, single mom. My dad spent 12 and a half years in jail for murder. So I grew up height of JBM in Philly, right around the corner from my
Junior Black Mafia, right?
Junior Black Mafia.
I only know that from Will Smith's book.
Junior Black Mafia. That's like that's our neighborhood. And so when you know you learn how fragile life is,
yes,
very 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 early,
yes,
and you learn how to appreciate your electricity being on.
Yeah.
You learn how to appreciate when you got hot water running through the pipes in your house.
Yes.
You learn like when you got like food in the refrigerator, and you know, I laugh at my kids, like they panic if it's not milk in there. I'm like, put water in there like I used to, right? And the cereal, like they said, you put water in your cereal. Listen,
You know,
I said, I know how to make everything. Anything that's in that cabinet right now, I could turn into food. Right? But you know, when you grow up that way, you get a high level of real appreciation for moments in your life. And I've been through highs, I've been through lows. I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money.
Yep.
And when I remember when I gone through a really really tough time in my career, and I got ghosted by so many people.
Yeah.
People who, like, when I was hot, I could get on the phone in 20 seconds, right?
Yep.
I didn't even, like, I could think about them, and they calling me, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm down, and, like, I got ghosted. And I was so hurt, like, just as a human being.
Yes.
That, like, because I had never gone through depression before.
Yeah.
And so, literally being depressed, not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, and I'm a motivated person. I feel like I'm a positive person, and it was very few people that were there for me. And you know, Vincent Herbert, who we both know, Vince showed up for me big time. Will and JL gave me a little office. You know, my office had gotten shut down, so they gave me some space to work out of in their office. And in my mind, like, I'm like, I never want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody else. I don't want anybody to feel like I made them feel like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we may not do it consciously to people, but I wanted to be intentional about how open I am to people.
Yes.
And how if I know somebody's down, that I'm gonna make sure I'm calling somebody, I'm checking in on people, I'm checking in on people's family, I'm checking in on people's mental health.
Yes.
You know, like all of those things. And like, so for me, especially like with a lot of young Black executives, is a different path.
Yeah.
And what I see is we don't advocate for ourselves in corporate environments.
Nope.
And a lot of times we don't know, we don't recognize our self-value.
Yep.
And you got a lot of what I've seen is a lot of other races come in with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I'm super careful about how I talk to my kids. Like I never tell my kids you don't belong at the adult table.
Yes.
I never tell them that. I don't talk that you only speak when you're spoken to. Nope. Stuff. I want my kids to have an opinion. I put a battery in their back.
Yes.
I have adult conversations with them.
Yes.
It is like even because what is a thing where when we finally make it to the table, we still feel like we're at the kids' table.
We still, bro. Man, I don't even want to. It's like I want you to just don't even stop, man, because I know that feeling. And I said this. I wrote something on Instagram, and I don't know if one of people's heads. I said every black person that ended up at the table, the big table, was made to feel like you're not like them. That's why you're lucky to be here. So you're on your best behavior. You almost are afraid to rock a boat because you don't know. I'm like, I tell people,
I rock boats.
I do too now.
That's what I want to say. Like, because this is very, very, very important. It's what I started to learn in terms of like and building my own self-confidence was that, wow, I can do this on levels that anybody else can do this on.
Yes.
If somebody gives me the opportunity to do it.
Yes.
And if somebody doesn't give me the opportunity to do it, I got to figure out a way to make my own opportunity.
Yes.
And to show people that I can do it, and then that'll bring in more people to allow me to do it.
Yes.
And then when I feel like I've added value, I want you to pay me for my value.
Yes.
Yep.
Damn
Actually,
right.
I want you to pay me even more than you would pay somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
Because I want the premium.
Yes.
I want the premium.
Period.
So and that's fair. And so when I started managing Gaga, it was sort of my first foray into pop music.
And not only that, before he says, because I want to make sure anybody listens, when he said he started managing Gaga, meaning they started together. I was there. Lady Gaga, I was there at one of Lady Gaga's first show where it was 40 people in the room and me and Devon Stevens pulled up. So you didn't start managing her as Gaga. You helped create the brand Gaga. I just got to say that because you fucking did it and I saw it.
Yeah, well, we did it together.
No. That's what I said. You helped create it.
We did it together.
I would never disrespect an artist, but some people get lucky. Some people build. I saw you build that from the jump. I remember having an argument with Jimmy, and Jimmy was like, "Put Gaga on a song." We was like, "No, we want Gwen," and he was like, "Don't sleep on Gaga. She's gonna be big." So I was there from the beginning of Lady Gaga. Period. I just had to say that.
No, we definitely, we signed her when she was 20, and she had just gotten dropped from Def Jam, and so, and I was starting over from after working with Eve and us parting ways, and like I didn't have anything to lose, you know what I'm saying? She didn't have anything to lose, Vincent Herbert didn't have anything to lose, and my grandmother had that saying, "You can't fall off the floor." So it's
love that.
Can't fall off the floor. So there's nowhere to go but up.
Yes.
But but she was the first pop artist I ever managed.
Yeah.
And so we spent a year just trying to get people to believe in her first song, "Just Dance." And then after a year, started building, and eventually it just turned into this rocket ship. And I'm one of the only black managers managing a female pop star.
Yep.
Matthew Knowles managed Destiny's Child, but it was his daughter.
But it was also black.
In black, and it was his daughter.
Because there is an undertone where when a black person walks in managing a white act, people trying to figure out how the hell did you get
So
that?
people thought I was the assistant. People thought I was a dancer. People thought all of these things, everything but a manager.
Yeah.
Everything but a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, sort of navigate in that world and to be able to build the level of success that we were able to build with Gaga, it really showed me that I can play on this field.
Yes.
And after while I was managing Gaga, it exposed me because we were experimenting with all of these new technologies, like YouTube was just coming out.
Yeah.
Twitter was just coming out. Mm-hmm. And so we're experimenting with all of these things, and that gave me exposure to the tech world.
Yes.
So now I'm going to meet with like these founders in Silicon Valley and talking to them, and I'm talking to them about culture, about music, about brand, about marketing.
Yeah.
And they're fascinated by this.
Yeah.
Because most of those guys, like, they're brilliant when it comes to engineering. Mm-hmm. But then they're thinking about, okay, how should I be looking at brand?
Yeah.
How should I be looking at marketing?
Yeah.
How can I get can you introduce me to people in LA and in the music business? So that exposed me to founders. And when I talk, you talk about being the only black guy in pop music. I was really one of probably 3 or 4 black guys in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And it's a different language. Mm-hmm. A lot of people talk about, like, when you can show value, when you really can show value, color disappears.
Man, say that again.
Color disappears.
Yes.
Color disappears. So you could walk around with and label yourself, but if you could show value, I'm not ignoring, like, it's ignorance out there, and people, you got racist people are ignorant or whatever, but for my own, I can speak to my own about how I talk to my own children.
Yes.
I will never let my kids use race as an excuse. Ever. Let that be somebody else's problem.
It's not gonna be our excuse.
That's not gonna let that be somebody else's problem. I know too many black people that's operating on the highest levels in every industry that you can name.
Yep.
But I know what it took to get there.
Yeah.
We might have to drive those Mack trucks through the cul-de-sac.
Yep.
We might have to work harder.
Yep.
We might have to do all of these things and, like, lay down on our sword on certain things or whatever. But we absolutely have the capacity to get there.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to young people from anywhere around this country, other places in the world, you can't give me no excuses.
No.
My dad did 12 and a half years.
My dad had drug problems.
I watched my cousins die. I dealt with drugs in my family. My neighborhood way rougher than your neighborhood. Anything you can think of, you can't tell me any excuses.
Nope.
Zero.
Yep.
Is our capacity. When we're born into this planet, when we come on this planet, everybody comes in with whatever. Mm-hmm. I know trust fund kids who inherited hundreds of millions of dollars, man, who can't out-hustle people that I came up with.
And not only that, they admire you because you have that dog in you. They love you because you remind them of, like, what real work looks like.
I'm more like their grandfather who made it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because it wasn't handed. And so I just feel like, we have to understand how much power we have within ourselves, and be like we got to be able to get through tough times.
Yes.
We got to be able to power through certain things. And I was doing a talk with a really great executive coach, and I was being like just very, very honest. Like I'm super transparent when it comes to mental health,
Yes.
PTSD, depression, anxiety. I'm super transparent about it. And I was talking to him, and it was a group of probably 50 people, and I said, I like being successful, and especially when I had lost everything the first time. I said it was something in me where I didn't think I deserved it.
Yeah.
Like it just I felt like it just was something like of self-value.
Yeah.
And what he said to me, he said, Troy, he's like, I know a bit about you, enough about you to know that your parents, they didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I said, no. He said, what about your grandparents? I said, no, my grandmother, she got her GED when she was in her 50s. And my grandfather dropped out and worked at Campbell Soup all his life. And he said, well, what about their parents? And then he said, well, what about their parents? He said, your family came over here as slaves. He said, they came over here as slaves. He said, think about them on the fields, living the way they live, traveling over here. If they saw what you were able to accomplish, the heavens would open up.
Period.
So if you don't think you deserve it, don't you think they think you deserve it? This isn't yours.
Yeah.
This is you're a steward.
Yeah.
You're a steward of your family, of generations. You become stewards.
Yeah.
So any success doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the generations. It belongs to the generations.
That's what my dad is on my neck right now. Because I'm like, he died before I could make it, but he's shining with me right now. And that's why I never cheat the process because of that. That's amazing, man.
We don't own it.
Yes. And I always say that, and we all have privilege. We all have our own version of privilege. And you just have to find it. And it's not fair. Let's be clear. I'm not saying it's fair, but it is what it is. And either you're going to sit back and feel sorry for yourself, or you're going to get off your ass and do something.
This is the way I look at it, man. It's like, we know, we got to be very honest that generational trauma exists.
Yep.
We got to be very honest about institutional racism exists.
Period.
The structures are real. If we let those structures get in the way of us
Mental blocks.
realizing our fullest potential, and like my co-founder, Susie, her family, they're Korean immigrants.
Shout out to Susie.
Susie, like that's my little sister, one of my closest friends. And her family came over from South Korea, and pretty much they gave up everything to come to America. And her dad came over here first, gave up the life, left the kids behind just to kind of get started. He's like shooting photography for a local Korean newspaper or whatever. Then he gets enough, then he brings the family over, and then, they built the enterprise over the years in terms of, they're in the restaurant supply business, but it was the sacrifices that were made.
Yep.
It was we can't have any excuses. It was we can't go back to where we came from, because America's not perfect by any means. But I've been to almost every country in the world, and it's like, when you think about opportunity, is a reason why people come here. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason why people come here, because you can create opportunity.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard. I'm telling you, which is hard as shit.
Facts.
Is every barrier is gonna be thrown at you.
Everybody's going to laugh. Everybody's going to doubt you. No one's going to believe. And you just got to believe in yourself to go. And that should be enough. And I didn't even plan. I didn't know I was gonna get this from you, but it's all mentality, and I just hate when people give excuses. It is okay.
No excuses.
It's no excuses.
No excuses.
And then here's another thing: people that don't look like you, especially talking to people that like us. I watched the David Geffen documentary. The first thing he says in it is how he lied. So it's not like everybody had the advantage. Everybody just did what the hell they had to do to get the moment. And he talking about how he lied, and then he was in the mail office and he found a letter. He said he went to Harvard, he graduated school, and he really didn't. Yeah. But David Geffen's one of the most powerful men in the world. You can do it. You just got to believe you can do it. 2022 was the hardest professional year of my life, but it was the best because I didn't start believing in myself till 2022. Just being honest, it was like I didn't believe in me because it was like I felt like you, like, why me? Like I don't deserve this.
I believed in you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Seriously,
like,
thank you.
But it's we go through that.
Yeah,
man. If people talked the way we talk in our heads to ourselves, we would stop being friends with ourselves if somebody else talked to us like that. Mm-hmm. So the level of self-doubt is natural, by the way.
Yes.
It's natural.
Yes.
I work with some of the most successful people on the planet, and like where I've had the luxury of being on tour buses, hotel rooms, all places where you could see people where I see where people cry. Yeah. I know where people are insecure. Yeah. I know the issues, and but no people on the outside would think, oh my God, these people are they have all of the talent in the world. These people are the most successful people in the world. Everybody deals with self-doubt. I tell this to my daughter. I tell this to like other people in my family. Like, what? No, that person's the most insecure. I know that person.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I know that person.
Yes.
And so we all deal with it, but I think because people don't talk about these things openly, and it's more about the look. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You that builds your self-doubt. What I had to realize, we create this thing is like the delusion.
Yeah.
You got to be like, I'm delusional.
Yeah. You have to be.
You have to be.
You have to be.
So because you got to be able to see beyond what's in front of you. And when I said I wanted to be in the music industry as a kid, nobody in my family was in the music industry. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You
couldn't even help
those people on TV. Yep. So everybody doubts you. And so I'm very careful with how, like, I don't tell people all of my dreams, even to this day.
Yeah.
Thanks. Because people will extinguish it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And what I like, even down to when somebody may say something about like something that they want to do, and somebody just gives them a look like, You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or you could look at somebody. It could be a look. It could be something that somebody says. Somebody just can come out and say that you should be doing something different or is impossible, and that kills people's dreams.
Yeah.
And so, me personally, I protect that. Yeah. So nobody's not killing an idea, because that idea is energy, and that energy that seed needs watering, nurturing, all of those things, and people will kill that idea and they'll project their failures into your life.
Yeah.
They'll project their fears. Parents are the number one dream killers.
Parents are the number one haters.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because out of fear, out of love, they don't want their kids to fail.
They don't want to see you hurt.
Yes,
they're not being mean.
They're not doing it intentionally.
They just don't want to see you. They don't want to see you broken and have to pick you up.
That's why parents force their kids to go to college. Yep. They force their kids into doing with the safest routes or whatever. They don't want you to do something that doesn't feel safe and secure. Mm-hmm. They do it for all of the right reasons. Yeah. But it's like at the same time, your kid's potential might be to be Elon Musk or Robert Smith or whoever it is. So it's like even like me, I'm very careful about who I hire. And like, you know, you talked earlier even about Red. It's people who had to build things.
Yeah. Yes.
You gotta have you gotta be able to see beyond what's in front of you.
Yep.
When I heard Red was a promoter, I said, okay, because I was a promoter.
Yeah.
So promoters, you gotta have risk tolerance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. 2, you gotta be a stand-up person.
Yep.
Because a lot of it is handshake.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so when you didn't have a good night, you still got to pay people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you build your reputation.
All you got
that
is your
way.
name.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how you build your reputation.
Yep.
And so I like to have people around me with vision and dream and a little bit of craziness, like whereas like you kind of push outside of boundaries.
Yes.
And it's like, cause that's what feeds and fuels dreams.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna put him on blast. Braxton right here. Braxton comes to me. He comes to me from Alabama, and he's like, he's trying to show me. He said he's a content creator, but he's showing me music videos, and as he's showing me, he's asking me while I'm looking at the video, like, you like the song? And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck would I care? Why would you care if I like the song when I like the video? I'm here to look at your video work. And then the 4th song, he's like, you like the song? And I was like, hold on, stop. You're not really a content creator, are you? He was like, nah. I said, you manage these people. He was like, I do. I was like, and then he said to me, and he said to me, he said, I'm sorry for lying to you, but I need to prove to my mom I could be anything more than a truck driver. That right here. So I'm like.
That's beautiful.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so you don't see value in yourself, do you? He said, not really. I was like, that was me. I didn't think that I could make it without you. I'm going to show you can make it on your own. I'm going to show you don't need none of them. And I hired him as an intern. But here's what I didn't know. He was driving 2 hours from Alabama to Atlanta every day. And like straight up, we're gonna clap for Braxton. Straight up. He was driving 2 hours. He was driving 2 hours every day. He was driving 2 hours every day back and forth. And then I hired him full time, and he was still hustling. Even now, like I just was getting on him just now. And I'm like, I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And he's like, there's no way. I said, I know for a fact. I said, because you don't carry yourself like you believe. Because when you believe, you come with a smile. You almost are like how you said, when he said, shut the fuck up, that was the best thing happened to me. Because I tell everybody around me, shut the fuck up. You've never built nothing. Shut the fuck up and listen. I'm giving you the blueprint. So as I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, anybody who's listening to this, you can be whatever you want to be, but you can't bullshit the process. You got to get in it. Listen, bro, I drove the month of January. I tell everybody this. Every day, the month of January of last year, I drove home crying because I got fired from Warner.
I appreciate you sharing that, man.
And I remember just being like, what I'm going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to show the fuck up. Because what the fuck else am I supposed to do?
Thanks, man.
Like, it's like I can't. And not only that, I can't let them be the winners.
Yep.
I can't give somebody else the power. And here's the crazy part. Me and Aaron talked for the first time today in a year.
Wow.
And the first thing he said was, my bad for how I did you. Because I did do you wrong. But at this moment, I'm like, I built myself at this point.
You should like you should send Aaron flowers because it's a congratulations. He helped you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And even this right here, I'm like, bro, this is not cool in our world. This what I'm doing is not cool. Giving it away, I'm literally, you're doing the same thing. We're tearing down the walls of the Lord, making people see it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. The only thing that they made you believe is that you need them to do it. And I know you don't. I'll use you as an example. I'll tell you, I never told you this. I tell people, you know the first artist I ever seen break from beginning to the end? Meghan Trainor. Troy Carter became the manager because I was meeting with Jay Irvin, and Jay Irvin was telling me about the Nico and Vinz. And I go back to Epic Building. Now here's the important part of the story. Meghan Trainor was signed. the video was done, and her A&R, Paul Pontius, was like, bro, I've been chasing Jay Brown for the last couple months to manage this girl.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, I just need someone to manage her, man, because the video is done, she signed, and then I was like, yo, I just let Jay Irvin, Troy, they did Gaga, you should mess with them. And that's how it happened. But the point is that Megan came in and was ready. We're not magic makers. We are facilitators. We are not magic makers. When you laugh when you said Gaga got dropped. I laughed when you said that because L.A. Reid tells everybody, I didn't drop Lady Gaga. I dropped Stephanie. He like, I didn't drop Gaga.
That's funny.
I dropped Stephanie.
That's funny.
But she had to.
LA's right.
Yeah, she had to become Lady Gaga. She had to build, and everybody in here and everybody listening, you can literally open up a book, which is what I suggest and what I've did, and create a character.
Definitely.
I've never met Lady Gaga not being Lady Gaga. Like the first day I met her, we was doing a writing camp for the Pussycat Dolls, and it was like this girl was just in superstar mode, sitting in the studio, and I'm like, I know she's gonna be something. She was that before you knew she was that.
Because Gaga is a student of the game, and like one of the things that we always talked about is how the great study the greats. Great stuff. It's cold as shit in here.
It's okay. I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
it's freezing.
It's freezing. Let's go.
Can I just turn the heat?
Please.
No,
It's yours.
No.
It's your house.
I'm glad.
It's your house. But I only say that to say that people, you have to believe in it before anyone believes in it. Right. I had an executive coach, and my girl was telling me, I'm gonna erase your board. I got a whiteboard in my office. This whiteboard got me through 2022. And my executive coach would give me terms, and she would say, self-trust, self-worth.
I talk to my coach
self-value,
every week.
Self-value. Enjoy the process. So those moments where I know it's hard, and I would just look at the board, and it's like, enjoy the process. But people think enjoying the process means have fun. No, that just means enjoy the goods, but you gotta enjoy the bads. The bad moments is when you gotta sit back and be like, well, I know for a fact that Jay-Z went through this, so I know I'm on the right path, and I'm gonna keep pushing. So even me with this show, I tell people, I'm like, bro, this podcast was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wasn't gonna go beg for a job. And I also knew that I know my shit, and I know a lot of people, and this happens to you, I know it happens to y'all, come sit in your office and get the game and run with it, and I don't want nothing from you, but telling someone, yo, shout out to Troy, man. Because that game you gave me, that shit changed my life. That shit gives us credibility. And hold on. And we never got that. So for me, I was like, I'm smart. Tamira, come in here. Ask me a question once a day. And I'm going to put a mic. That's literally how it started. Ask me one question once a day, and I'm going to answer it, and I'm going to put that clip on Instagram. Because I just want the world to know I know something. Because I am not begging nobody when I'm fucking great already. I'm not begging you when I'm great. Like, I'm not begging. No one begs to bring greatness to the table. You just be great, and somebody great will see and recognize. So that's why someone like yourself doing this is like, there's some people watching this like, damn, Troy did it. I got to hit Ray. But you know why Troy did it? Because Troy is great, and greatness recognizes greatness. So I just want to tell you, thank you.
No, and Ray, the thing is, man, like we've seen, both of us have been in the music business for a long time. And consistency and character is important, And it's like, so certain people, you've been consistent throughout. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Consistent. And for me, it's like it's just a lot of value in that. Yeah. And we were talking earlier about like just our crew in Philly, and the reason why we stick so closely together is that we recognized how transactional and fake the business is.
Yes.
And the coming from where I come from and where some people within our crew came from, and this is even my relationship with Jay Brown, Ty, Hove, like those guys, and and people we all came up together. Like I met Jay-Z and those guys from me promoting shows in Philly.
Oh, wow.
I met Puff because I was bringing Big to Philly promoting shows.
Oh, wow.
And the integrity that you got to have, and this guy got to have cash when I show up.
Yeah.
Or this guy said he was going to do something and he actually did more.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I managed half of Rockefeller's roster.
Yeah.
And, you know,
all the Philly guys.
Beanie, Freeway, Oskino, Sparks,
yeah.
like pretty much all of those guys. And but with doing that, it was like we got to have a partnership and a level of understanding.
Yeah.
And so when you can do that consistently, people consistently show up for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And as we level each other up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody is going to be a million people that fall by the wayside, but you got it, like your word and it means something where we come from because it's consequences.
Yes.
Otherwise, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Philly's small.
Yeah.
You can't burn too many people. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? You're
Before people start
gonna run
talking.
into somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Our industry is small.
Yes.
You can't fuck over too many people
Nope.
before you got to run into those people again. So what I started seeing, like just through the years, I'm like, yo, these people are different. Like,
Yes.
I thought, like, when you said you was gonna do something, you did it, or wow, you stole that from me.
Very vulture-like. Very
you
vulture-like.
really stole that from me, or you really did this to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, the recourse is me not being able to do anything with you anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Nah, it's funny because you said the one thing I had to do was I had to remove me. It's two things I had to do. I had to remove me. So when you said you did this to me, when I said me, I personalized it. And I had to just remember that's who you are. It has nothing to do with me.
Absolutely.
It's just who you are. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I did was I told myself, I'm going to talk to myself. I'm not going to listen to myself. Because when you listen to yourself, you can't control the thoughts that's coming in your head. Like you said, you're abusing yourself. You're like, man, you can't do it. That's listening. When you talk to yourself, you're like, you can do it. Just keep going forward. And those two small things that I did kind of like really changed the trajectory of my life, because I was like, I'm just going to listen to myself. Because what would I tell Red if he came in my office? Hey, bro, you could do it. But I'm in my head, I'm saying, you sure you could do it, Ray? Nah, Ray, you could do it. Red, you could do it. Tamira, you could do it. Everybody in here, we all can do it. I'm just going to talk to myself. And that's literally how I got here. So now I'm just in a whole nother world. But I love it because this is important. And people are watching. We are superheroes. I stress that to people. Every person up here, including Tamira, we are all superheroes. But let me tell you, when a superhero comes, you know the origin story. Everybody got their favorite superhero, whether it's Iron Man, whether his father was an inventor and they didn't believe in him, or Superman, his planet was blown up and his parents sent him here, and his parents, so I always tell people, don't be afraid to share your origin story, because that's what makes people love you.
Yep.
That's what makes people connect with you, and we all fucking do it.
That's how
all got it.
Even with my interview with him when I first started, man, I maybe sat on the phone with Troy for like 3 hours. Just like I feel like I gave him my whole life in that conversation, to sum it up for the most part. And just me just being completely transparent with him about where I want to go, how much I've done, how much free work I've done to even get to this part, like just understanding how the balance goes with everything. It was just like, this is where I need to be. I could have worked anywhere, but like, I feel like with Troy, man, it's shit different. Like, he really hear me out.
Bro, he cares. And I want to jump to and another thing, I know people probably listening want to hear music. All of this is related to music. Mm-hmm. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Who someone is, whether you selling wine, whether you selling music, whether you selling life, whatever you selling, how you do it is who you are. Mm-hmm. So you guys, Troy has a history of being super successful manager, super successful investor. But what I wanted to talk about was why you started Venice. because this is probably the first time in your life that you started something that you committed your life to that you don't need to do.
Yo,
It's like you really could just not do it, but you like on the front line pushing it. So what was it? What made you want to get into that business from your perspective?
So it was crazy. Like I made a decision. It's probably 6 years ago that I didn't want to do talent management anymore. And you know, it's a huge commitment doing talent management, and especially, you know, when you and with superstars, you know, is a lot of time, and you need to be on the road. And
It's like more kids.
Yes, and I didn't want to I have 5 kids, and with my older kids, I sacrificed a lot because I was building my career in the beginning. Like my Troy Jr., I used to
Your twin, by the way. He looks just like you.
Like with the
He's a little taller version of you, exactly.
But with Troy is, you know, he was 2 years old, and I'm like on buddy passes, trying to get on airlines, you know, and like I was hustling, and like, and you know, my son Danny and Nate, you know, they're 3, 4, 5 years old, and it was hard, and so I lived on the road. And then, you know, we had 2 more kids later on, and that's when I was managing Gaga. And as I was building my career, I had to, you know, it was, at first, I had to do it.
Yeah.
Then it was, okay, I kind of got to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then with my youngest, you know, she's 9 now, but you know, she was like 3 or 4 when I stopped management.
She probably owns
her,
you.
She's like, she didn't even like. I don't even have a job in her world, by the way.
That's why I have a 5-year-old daughter. If my daughter was walking here, she don't care what's going on. She would sit right here and drink my water. Like, so I know she owns you.
She thinks I do something in music, right? And she was only impressed. She became a huge Meghan Trainor fan like 6 months ago with Megan's new song that blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Mommy said that you used to work with Megan."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You were on tour with me with Megan."
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
I got pictures with us. You were on the tour bus, living on the bus with us. But you know, I wanted to so getting out of management was like, one, a lifestyle change, but also I was always very curious about, like, I always push, what's the future of the business? Like, you know, I didn't want to be one of those old guys either, like you're 80, you know, still doing
Holding
talent
on.
management. I didn't want to do that. And so I was an early investor in Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Daniel, the founder, are good friends, and like, you know, always talked, and I helped Spotify out with a bunch of stuff over the years. And Daniel and I were having a conversation about a project that I was helping them with internally, and that turned into me going inside of Spotify and basically building out was sort of now known as creator services.
Yes.
And really working with the company on going public and like be like, how do we tell the right story?
Yes.
How do we build better relationships with artists, managers, labels, looking at content strategy and all of those things. And it was probably one of the most rewarding things that I've done professionally. It was a hard choice going in because I'm such an entrepreneur, and like it's part of my identity and everything else. So, you know, going in was like it was a tough choice, but it was the best thing I could have possibly done. I learned a lot. Like we talk about college, that was my college.
Yes.
And I got a chance to work with some of the smartest people in the world. But I worked with major label artists my entire career. And part of my role at Spotify, I had to take on the independents. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it. Well, yeah, who are these people? Like literally it's people I'm meeting with and I have no idea who they are. They're all angry or whatever.
Yeah.
And but what I started seeing, I'm like, and getting to know these people, I'm like, yo, these are entrepreneurs. Like they're building their businesses the same way I built my business. And I ended up building great relationships. And I started working with my team at Spotify on building tools for them.
Yeah.
Making sure they got playlisted, building, it's like all of these things. And when I was, and I'll be truthful, very, very truthful, we were building stuff that were like real tools that were great for independent artists that the major labels went nuts over because they knew how like that this was going to be competitive to their business. Mm-hmm. And so when I was leaving Spotify, because it started to feel like a job, because I'm like, okay, it's if I don't have the joy of getting up and like doing what I love to do, that's a job.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I never felt like I had like it was none of this has ever been a job for me, right? And so I told Daniel that I was going to step down, and I went and I sat with Jimmy Iovine, the founder of Beats by Dre and Interscope. And, Jimmy's always been a mentor.
Yes.
Some of the best advice I ever got, and it was from Jimmy.
Yes.
And he said, Troy, he said, take off for a year. He said, before you decide to do anything, he said, take off for a year. He said, because you never had the opportunity in your life to just decompress and not do anything. It didn't last. I kind of took his advice. I ended up. I got on a plane. I went to for my first trip. I went to Africa with one of my mentors. Yeah. And he's an incredible businessman. And we went to Nigeria, Tanzania, and Kenya. Mm-hmm. And he's built an incredible healthcare business. Born and raised in the projects in Brooklyn. His wife was a foster child. He built crazy business. No excuses. Yeah. And then, and I got some inspiration from like just what he was doing and talking to him. Then my next trip, I went to China to meet with, ByteDance was trying to recruit me to become the head of music for TikTok. They had just bought Musical.ly, and they were launching this new platform called TikTok. Yeah, and so they, showing me the technology and showing me what they were up to, and I'm like, this is gonna be a game changer. Yeah, but I don't want to work for nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm seeing what TikTok was doing. They're getting ready to launch. Like, this is going to be really good for independent artists because songs are going to start here and then they're going to go to Spotify. Yeah. When I first invested in Spotify, I was thinking, I'm like, songs are going to start here and then go to radio. Yeah. So now it's going into new cycles. So I'm like, for independent, I already knew what Spotify was going to focus on around independent artists. And I knew Apple was going to have to follow and Amazon was going to have to follow. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if I can build an alternative for independent artists where if I'm doing services for them, they feel like they're in a major label. Yes. They're not losing anything. Yes. If I could provide resources for the managers to make the managers feel supported and like they got an extra team. Yeah. But being able to do this globally, but also showing them how to build businesses. Yes. So I'm not just putting out your record. I'm actually helping you build enterprise value. Yes. I'm showing you like this is the structure you need to work within in terms of being able to build asset value. Yes. So don't come to Venice if you're thinking about, okay, I want to get hot, then go get signed. That's corny. Yeah. Yep. Don't even bother.
We're good.
Talk that shit, Red. I love Red. Red like nope.
Good on y'all, man.
Knows. We had these conversations all the time. Mm-hmm. When we sit down with people and we start talking to them about what type of entrepreneur do you want to be? Yeah. What are your goals? What does success look like? Yeah. And then we go even beyond because like you mentioned earlier, we've personally, between me and my co-founder Susie, we've invested in 150 tech companies.
Yeah.
So the access to founders,
Yeah.
the access to deal flow,
Yeah.
the access to investments, we've opened that up to even, to our Venice community. Like,
wow.
Oh yeah, so people like they've invested like Liquid Death, Therabody, like all types.
So
of
if you're a part of the
discount.
Venice community, you can.
If you like, it's not a product. It's part of just our ethos of how do we help you add value? Like, how do we help you build assets? How do we help you learn about investments?
Yeah.
Like, so for us, it's building. It's not just about putting out a record.
Yeah.
Jay-Z was able to build what he built not by just putting out a record.
Yeah.
It was about him having access to capital, him having access to information,
Yes.
him being able to be around brilliant people,
Yes.
around other communities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Rock Nation and Fenty and all of these brands were built. It wasn't people. With all due respect, I got great friends at record labels and who run record labels, but most of the people at record labels and who have been in the music business historically, they only know about putting out records.
Oh my God.
So when I started at Spotify was paying out billions of dollars already when I went to start working in Spotify. People didn't know how Spotify worked.
Yeah.
They like your record is. My first week, what I did, I told my team, I said, I need you to show me exactly how much money we paid out to this artist, this artist, this artist, this artist, this artist, because they're getting ready to give Apple exclusives. I need to stop these exclusives. Jimmy, everybody, Apple was pissed off at me, but I'm like, so I would go into manager's office. I went into the Maverick office,
Yep.
and they were having a staff meeting with Sal, the Weeknd's manager, G. Robeson,
Yeah.
who was manages Nick. He was managing Nicki, Drake, like everybody, like all these big acts. They managed Madonna. I said, "This is how much we paid out to your artists in royalties."
Yes.
I don't know what y'all got from the labels.
That's not my business,
That's
but I want to
not
make
my
sure y'all
business.
know how much
So
is out
all
there.
of the shit about Spotify doesn't pay. I want to
don't
show
see
you.
it.
I want to show you what we paid.
Yes.
But I also want to show you what we'll pay out in 10 years. So as you're thinking about your deal structures and all of those things, make sure your deal structure reflects what we're going to pay out.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so I went around educating people on how streaming really, really works and how to find the money.
Yep.
How to find the money. So the money's there. Wow. You got to know how to find the money.
Yeah.
And so fast forward with in the independent space is much quicker to get to the money.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to have a home run.
Yeah.
You can have a base hit
Yeah.
and really make money.
Yeah.
You could have money coming in every single month or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So now, but aside from streaming, we're teaching artists how not to depend on streaming.
Yeah.
Because we don't think streaming's the end all be all.
Yeah, me neither.
Streaming is like, it's
part of the ecosystem of your community.
yes,
It's just
it's one income stream that
Yeah.
you could do well or whatever. But we're teaching people how to build fans.
Yes.
So that's why having a manager in this role is different from a lot of the distribution companies in the past.
Yes. Yep.
Because I look at it through the lens of the managers.
Yes.
Holistically.
Yes.
You got to think your managers are thinking about the merchandise, tickets, building fans, all of these things. So it's how are we teaching you how to really go deep on fans? Because guess what? The majority of the world they're not going to have stadiums.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm going to show you is how if you do this right, you could do theaters and make just as much money as somebody that's playing arenas.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because we're going to show you how to build brand and products and enterprise value, and
Yes.
you own it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So you said that streaming is not the end all be all, right? So in 10 years from now, where do you see the music industry heading? What is the music industry gonna look like in 10 years?
Wow, that's a very hard question. You know, I think the stuff that I'm seeing in technology right now is mind blowing.
Artificial intelligence.
Is mind blowing. I don't know if you guys know the band ABBA, who made Mamma Mia.
No.
So it's a Swedish band, one of the biggest bands of all time, and I think they stopped making music in 1981. So then they did this Broadway play called Mamma Mia, and it's one of the longest running shows of all time, and it's based off of their music. And then Meryl Streep made a movie about it. So when I was in London last week, I went to see the show that I kept hearing about, and it's called ABBA Voyage. And they took this technology, like, it's almost disrespectful to even call it a hologram. You would have really thought that it was them on this stage.
Oh, wow.
Like the way, with a hologram and projection, I would be able to see through you
yeah,
right
exactly.
now. It's like you sitting there right now.
Oh,
so
wow.
they got Industrial Light and Magic, who does all the Star Wars, to build out this technology. And so when you have something like that, where it gives people an experience, that takes concerts to another place.
Yes.
Because what happens is artists can't, it's a reason why artists cancel tours left and right. Because it's like, to do 200 and something dates a year,
That's hard.
it's hard physically,
Yeah.
and then for your mental health.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Waking up in a different place every
Every
single
day.
night, not being with your family, not being with your friends, and these are young kids, like, who are in formative ages, is not a healthy thing. So if you could do 25 tour dates, but yet you have the technology, but still allow your fans a richer experience, and guess what? The money that you make from being able to do 3 shows a day through that.
I was about to say, you could be in 8 different cities based on that.
So this is what's happening. So
Wow.
this thing is getting ready to go to this place, and
Wow.
this place. And then on top of that, when we look at creativity, like what I'm seeing in the artificial intelligence space right now is mind-blowing. So if you look at the company OpenAI, they recently went public with
ChatGPT, yeah, I got that on my
ChatGPT,
phone.
right?
Yep.
And then which basically is beyond what Google was able to do in terms of revolutionizing search.
Yes.
Like, this is a company that is a generational company that I've never seen anything like it in terms of technology. And this is the dumb version of it. When ChatGPT 4 comes out this year, is taking it beyond. And then their company, Dolly, that does artwork. So basically, you just type in.
I heard you can type in anything in the world
and it's going to
it
create the
generate
art.
it. Yes.
It's going to create the art. You could just type it in, what you're thinking about, anything you think about or imagine, the artwork spits out in a few seconds. I just saw what Google launched, the beta version of their music tool, where you could type in, I want a song that sounds like Afro beats with Taylor Swift on the hook and Little Uzi doing a rap. Like, you could type in anything or whatever, and it's creating this music. So it's going to change the way people do production.
Yeah.
And so when you layer on all of these different technologies, like, the creativity starts to look different,
Yes.
right? So I think for the music industry, what is it going to mean to write a song, right? When you can have AI participating in the songwriting process.
Yes.
So what is that going to do for publishing now?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
When you think about rights ownerships and things like that, when you think about, do you really need a producer when you could go and type in certain things and it starts to get better and better and the technology gets better and better?
Yeah.
And it sounds like, so the purists, what the purists are going to say is technology's not going to be able to write a song because, you need this, and that. Or they'll say, but producers got this certain level of skill. Guess fucking what? Everybody's a great photographer right now because of Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
real.
Like photos never looked that way before. You had to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I've been in. Uber's normal now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's normal.
The concept of getting in a stranger's
Yes.
car,
Yes.
it would never thought
you
that.
used to have to call a taxi cab
Yes.
or go try to hail down a cab and it goes past you or whatever. Uber feels normal. Sleeping on a stranger's couch, you know what I'm saying? Or letting somebody sleep in your house. People would have thought you were crazy. Airbnb is super normal now.
Yes.
The craziest ideas turn into the most historic transformational things. You know what I'm saying? And so I was talking to a young person about this earlier, and like record labels feel secure in their position because of their catalogs. And so it's this feel of, okay, we're never going to go out of business because we got catalog and we got this deep level of expertise. I've lived long enough to see, like, as an example, BlackBerry was the shit.
Yeah.
And it was the primary phone.
Yes.
I'm sure those executives at BlackBerry, when they heard Apple was going to make a phone, they're good at computers. They have no idea how hard it is to make a phone. You got to do this, and that. It's like, and it looks really, really good when you're selling billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of product.
Yeah.
So it's like your natural instinct is to ignore them because they're good at making computers. Wait until they see how hard it is to make these phones. When the last time you saw somebody with a BlackBerry?
If I did, they old school as hell. They
you know what I'm saying?
Old school, bro.
And when you look at Oscar nominations and a company like Netflix that was DVD mail order business, they're making movies and TV shows, and Apple, who made computers, are making movies and TV shows, and Amazon, that sold books and shipped you laundry detergent, is making TV shows. Things change real quick.
Yes.
Things change real quick. And the arrogance of labels of feeling like, okay, we own this and we got expertise and you got to deal with us. And hey, streaming services, you guys need us. Wait until you see how fast that changes.
I feel like I've been saying this for the longest.
You're going to see a lot of record executives with their BlackBerry phones.
Bro, that's why me sitting in front of the camera talking, because I believe the future is community, and I believe that these labels are arrogant, and all it takes is one. All it takes is for Venice, for United Masters, for Track, for any one of these people.
We're going to do it
break
together.
One, but that's what I'm saying.
Because people always ask, like, is it competitive with Steve Stout? I'm like, Stout is that's my brother.
Yeah.
Like it's people that are doing this when you're trying to take on a system.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You need and specifically when it's people like that understands culturally.
That's the scary part.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the part that makes you dangerous, because you're not DistroKid. You actually made a superstar. You made a few. So if you have it on your platform, you can actually sit with the managers like, these are the next steps. This is all you need. That's my point. I say this, the music business makes more money now than it ever did, but we have no stars. That's because of arrogance. That's because labels are sitting back collecting their checks and not saying to themselves, what can we do better? And that's the part that bothers me. we're not servicing these people. We're not like servicing is educating. Like you went to the school of Jimmy Iovine. I kind of did because I had an artist on there, but he knew how to make a star. LA knows how to make a star. You know how to make a star.
You know what though? Like like I remember with Jimmy one time, we were doing, Gaga was opening up for New Kids on the Block. It was her first tour.
I remember that tour.
First tour. So we played at Staples Center, and Jimmy Iovine, he comes to the show, and after the show, he pulled me to the side, and he said, her sound sounds terrible. It sounds like she's singing into a can. He said, I want you to call this person, that person, and you, so they can help you mix the show better or whatever. Yeah. And I didn't get offended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, or whatever. I took the advice, and I ended up, we got the sound right, and it got better and better and better.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how, and even now, I call, it's certain people like a Jimmy or whoever that I call when I need an answer on something. Experience is important.
Very valuable.
And so I call people younger than me, by the way. Like the founder of Warby Parker just did a talk for our team this week.
Yeah.
To talk to my team about how they built Warby Parker and started in like with strangers trying on 5 pairs of glasses in his apartment. You know what I'm saying? But he's telling us about how he's like started a company.
Yeah.
So I get advice from everybody. You got to be receptive to it. In this industry, is a lot of the young managers. What I see is they're not as receptive.
Yes.
So like I'm not arrogant where I'm gonna walk up to somebody and tell them, hey, you should be doing this or like that or whatever. But if somebody asks me for feedback, I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm gonna be totally honest. So I think it's no shortcut to building a star.
Yeah.
It's no shortcut.
Yeah.
You can't cheat that.
Yeah.
You cannot cheat that.
And you have to have a star that's willing to be built, willing to do the work. Because that's another thing. Money, it's so much money out here that these artists don't feel like, they feel like because they're making $1 million a show that they're superstars. That's just because you're hot. Superstars, like literally, you just said New Kids on the Block had Gaga opening up.
Dude, listen, superstardom is like what people don't understand. Like I was saying earlier about the greats study the greats, right? And with superstardom, like a superstar, it's about iconography. It's iconography.
Is that a real word? I like that.
It's going to their show has to be a spiritual experience.
Exactly.
And it has to be the relationship between a superstar and their fans. It's a shepherd leading their flock.
It's community. That's why I said it's like community. You have to understand.
They want to be led somewhere though.
Yes.
Fans want to be led somewhere.
Yes. Exactly.
And so what ends up happening is like the amount of research that superstars do on the past and learning how, that's how, is Michael Jackson studying Charlie Chaplin
and James
to
Brown.
See Charlie Chaplin doing all of the miming moves or whatever. Michael, like you look at like Prince studying Chuck Berry and this person and that person. Prince watched every show that he did. He would watch. At the end of the show, he would go in the dressing room and watch the tape from that night and look at the lighting because he knew, like, I can't watch what everybone's doing while I'm performing. So I want to see what that bass player is doing. I want to see what this person's doing. On the road with Gaga, same exact thing. It's like we would study. Like I got sick of watching Madonna videos on the tour bus. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
We would study all of these things. I got photography books.
Yeah.
Images. Watching every David Bowie interview.
Wow.
David Bowie interviews.
Wow.
Not him performing his interviews.
Yes.
Like these,
know them.
yes, because these are details. Because like when you can bring like it's an investment in learning and understanding these processes. And the way you said, like you use an executive coach, I use an executive coach.
Yeah.
What people don't know, Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg has an executive coach. Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, executive coach. Bob Iger, Disney, executive coach. All of the top executives have executive coaches.
Yes.
Running billion-dollar companies, executive coaches. Because you gotta learn, and if you're playing in the NBA, you're gonna trainers. You got all of these things. You're not just running loose going on to the basketball court. Artists have to invest. They got to invest in the history of understanding how it was done. They got to invest in how do I ask artists this all the time, and I get the same answer most of the time. How many times do you rehearse a week?
Oh, they don't. Go on stage.
How many times do you rehearse a week?
Nothing.
No. Prince rehearsed every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day.
Yes.
And treated every rehearsal like he was in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Every day. Guess what? He didn't have shows. He just was rehearsing.
He was
so he could get better.
He was
You know what I'm
chasing
saying?
greatness every day.
Yes.
Yes.
Kobe, he was in the gym every day.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Steve Stout told me a story years ago when he was doing a project with Kobe, and Kobe would go to the basketball court every morning with his coach during the off season, and the guy would have his hand in Kobe's face while Kobe would take the shot, and Kobe would close his eyes and everything, taking the shot, because he knew next season he was going to have to play against this certain player, and he wanted to be able to make that shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the level of commitment that artists have to have with their careers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a certain level of greatness that you always have to strive for. You'll never hit perfection. You'll never, ever, 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 ever hit perfection. If you hit perfection, you fail. Yes.
Wait, I got a question. So before we wrap up, I want to ask, how should new artists that's coming in the industry use technology to break into it?
I think using technology for new artists, you're using it as a tool. You know, so the beauty of it is you could put out content as often as you want to put out content. You got a way to talk directly to fans. I look at technology, I never get overly dependent on it, because it always changes at the end of the day. The real thing, though, is that true talent, like, that's what you got to focus on. So focus on the true talent. Like, is
actually having talent.
Yes. Go deep. Push yourself. Push yourself. This is where I feel like the opportunity lies, because I feel like we're in this place where everything is happening so fast. Everybody's pushing out, millions and millions and millions of pieces of content. There's not a lot of people that are actually going deep, and that's why that is a reason why people are gravitating towards the SZA project right now. You know what I'm saying?
I thought of. Once you said deep, I thought of SZA.
SZA made an album. SZA, and I'm not even talking about a format perspective as much as it is a very thoughtful body of work that's very well written, very well produced, and very well thought out. You know what I'm saying? And when you can invest in the work, the score keeps itself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The score keeps itself at that point. So instead of the like, I honestly, I think we're going through a creative pandemic right now. And reason being, a lot of creators are creating with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you feel like you got to keep up. You're rushing to put that stuff out. I got to put this stuff up on TikTok. I got to see what, if I'm getting comments on this or likes on this. I got to see if I'm getting followers here. You're creating with anxiety. True creation, you're going to that quiet place. You're going into that cave. You're going in inspired with people that you enjoy creating with. You're waking up in the middle of the night inspired. I gotta do this. When you're in that place of my manager's calling me because I gotta create this thing for TikTok and I gotta do this and I gotta put out a song every 2 weeks and I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Yo,
I'm looking around because I'm like, bro, I tell people, no matter what you think, it's all at God's speed.
Dude.
And you gotta allow God to enter the room.
Dude, listen. This is you look at the best works of all time, whether it's in the fine art space, whether it's in the food cuisine space, whether it's tell James Cameron that you want to put out Avatar 5 tomorrow. No, I'm gonna take 12 years, or however many years,
until
because my work, James Cameron makes movies when he wants to make movies, and because he likes to invest in the creative process. Steven Spielberg wants to invest in the creative process. They're not like, you can't rush these things. Steve Jobs, like if people really learned about how. He was a hippie.
Yeah.
This guy, like...
They said didn't take baths. I was just listening to someone that said didn't take baths.
I had to sprinkle that in.
No, I'm just saying, he was
he
human.
He was a real hippie.
Right,
Yes.
just
this
relatable.
guy, but his process was it was an inward process. He went inward for his process.
Yes.
Like when he, like a lot of it was through, he trusted his internal compass. He like it comes from a quiet place. I met with Steve. I never forget. It's so crazy.
The Steve?
I had a meeting. Yeah, this is Steve Jobs, not Steve Stout.
Right. I was like, hold on, the Steve Jobs?
So we have a meeting with Steve Jobs. They were launching some product at Apple that we were beta testing. So me and Gaga go and meet with him, and we are giving him feedback on the product. So we had just done a deal with Polaroid, where she became the creative director of Polaroid. So I asked him, I said, I want to get your advice. We did this deal with Polaroid. How should we be approaching it? He says, Polaroid is shit. He said, I don't know why you guys even did that deal.
Right, it was dying.
He said, Polaroid? He said, you know why they're shit? He said, because they just slap their names on everything. They got sunglasses, they got this, they got that, they got this, they got that. They got 50,000 products, and that's what destroyed the Polaroid brand. They should have just stuck with their main camera and just worked off of that. So then he pointed across the room. He said, you see that table over there? And it was like a little conference room table in the back. And it had their computers on the table, and like iPods and stuff, and iPhone and stuff on the table. He said, our entire company is sitting on that table. He said, I fit our entire company on that table. That's all we do. He said, it's focus.
Love that.
Focus. This guy, his instincts.
Yes.
When he came back to run Apple, he killed every product in that company, and he said, this is what we're going to do. You got to trust that internal thing.
Yes.
He wasn't thinking about what everybody like, oh, we got to do this. This is what IBM is doing. This is what Dell is doing. This is what Microsoft's doing.
I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm not being for dog. When Troy talks, listen.
We didn't think it was going to go like this.
No, because I'm looking around, I'm like, bro, there's certain people, when they open their mouth, just shut up. Because that's allowing God to come through them. And I'm being real with you. He he has his messengers and he has his way. And if you just be quiet and listen, bro, I've never not talked this much. Like I'm like, this is the quietest I've ever been on any interview. Like I'm like, everybody shut up. We're not playing no games. Yeah. We're not doing none of the segments.
We learning.
Let him talk because, bro, you literally are a time capsule for us. You're telling us the way one of the greatest inventors thought, who's dead. So if we trying to overtalk or get to our point, we gonna miss that shit. Be quiet, bro. Like,
know what I did when Steve was talking? I shut the fuck up.
And that Benny Medina message, that's just like, hey, be quiet. Like, cause like it be times where my people like, you gotta do this, and I'm like, dog, I don't care about an algorithm. I care about dope. And I am a consumer. I like to spend money. I like to buy books. I like to go to movies. I invest, and I just want to give people what I know I would want, and that's my only thing. I know if I knew I would want it, if I know it can make me. When I started this podcast, I said all I want to do is I ain't made $1 from this, $1 from this yet. But I said what I want to do is I want to create things that we could put 45 to 60 seconds up that 1,000 people share to each other. Forget trying to try. Let's make sure that our message is something so valuable that people want to share. Build the value first. Everybody say know your worth. I say show your worth.
Man.
This podcast is an example for artists. That's all it is. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I say that on record all the time. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to get in front of a mic and I'm going to talk and I'm going to get with my friends and I'm going to figure it out. And that's what music is. You don't have to know. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to fucking attempt to shoot your shot. Even you have to attempt, like have conversations. You have to be dedicated to this, because that's the only way you get to greatness. And I know we have to wrap up. I just want to tell you, Troy, I appreciate this.
I appreciate
this. This was a master class. I was like, no agenda. Let the man talk. But that's my thing. I don't want it. But
if Ray's coming to talk,
I just want people to understand, if you listening, I would pay for this conversation. I would pay to get in the room to hear you talk, because that's investing in my greatness. And you gave it to me for free, so I just want to tell you thank you, brother. And thank you for everybody else that was listening.
For Venice, I won't give it to you for free, but you can join the community.
Before we go, tell us what's next for you and how we can get in contact with you. VeniceMusic.co, and you can check out what we're doing there. So, but feel free to join the community.
Hit me.
Community.
Yeah,
tell us, Red. By the way, shout out to Red. Red, you are lucky.
Yeah.
Don't fuck this up.
Nah, never.
Because I'm telling you, because I hate when people get opportunities and downplay them.
Nah, man.
Like, I got this job, but I don't give a fuck about the. Hey, no, you need to care.
Troy calling me like, hey, it's Christmas break, man. You know you can take a break. Nah, fuck that.
Bro,
I'm trying to do something.
Bro, I wish y'all nothing but the best. If anybody's listening, fuck with Venice, work with Venice, interact with Venice, because the person at the head gives a fuck. He just gave us an hour and a half of his time that he didn't have to show you guys how much he cares. And we thank y'all. And this is the God Show, and we are out.
We out.